Hey everybody, welcome back to another session with me. I know it's been a while since I recorded anything. I've had this topic like set in my mind. I wrote like notes and everything on what I wanted to talk about, but life on me, and it just kind of I didn't have the energy to do it. So I'm trying to be more consistent with making my content. I have a variety of stuff that I'm doing. Like I'm on TikTok doing funny stuff, serious stuff. I repost a lot of stuff, and I'm just trying to find my groove. But I think mostly with this page, I will be just finding topics. I still want it to be life's passions. So eventually I'm going to venture into interviews with people, things they're passionate about. Mostly right now, it's just going to be things that I'm passionate about, things that I want to talk about. Today's topic is going to be self-love versus loving others, and how two things can be true, contrary to what the internet wants you to believe. The internets, I like to call it. So stick with me, and we're gonna get into it. So hope y'all enjoy it. Hey, welcome back. So today's topic, we're talking about self-love versus loving others, and how two things could be true, contrary to what the internet wants you to believe. So yeah, so we're talking about how there's this whole self-love thing. We have our self-care days, which is good. But most of the time when people talk about this topic of self-love, they usually put it up against love for others. Because most of the time people will love somebody or love a thing or love, a person, and the love that they give that person seems to supersede the love that they show themselves. So there's this trend or this ideal that having your heart broken, the first thing you hear a lot of people say is, baby, you should love yourself, love yourself. So what if you absolutely love yourself, like you love everything about you? You may have one or two things. Like for me, I love myself. I love how funny I am sometimes. I love how passionate I can be about things. I love how I love others. I love myself. There are some things that I have insecurities about. I've had 3 babies, so I got a fupa, what they call it, the mother's apron, that I would love to get some work done on. But for the most part, I look great in my clothes, but I love myself. I know that, and I may have spoken about this in previous videos, how I have pulled back myself. I made myself small in a lot of cases. That was an insecurity I had. That could be seen as not loving me, not loving who I am, not loving all of me. But here recently, I am learning to love all of me, flaws and all. I won't say here recently, over the past few years, just things that happen. Again, lifing. You learn to start to love yourself. The Bible verse, all things work together for the good of those who love. Y'all know how it goes. That was a big one for me, because when you dig into it, you learn that the bad things and the good things make up who you are. I absolutely, and I say this and I mean it, I probably only have one, I would say 3 at the most, regrets in my life. Because even the bad things that have happened to me, the things that were not so favorable, that were uncomfortable, they made me who I am. They brought me to a place and a space of growth. I feel like I learned from everything. I regret not digging deeper into learning a second language. Like I tell people, I'm not jealous of many people. And if I'm going to be jealous of anybody, it's probably going to be people who speak multiple languages fluently. Because I wish I did. Um, but yeah, so just like, what if you absolutely love yourself, but you also desire to be loved or be in a relationship and to share your love with someone else? Like, I understand, I truly, y'all know I be going off on a tangent and digressing, honey. So I truly, I understand the concept of self-love. And I also, the people always say you're no good if you can't be good for anyone else if you're no good for yourself. Like, if saying, like, how they give you the analogy of being on the plane and how the stewardess tells you put on your oxygen mask before you try to help anybody else, because you pass out trying to help somebody else when the air cabin pressure is dropping or whatever. So you also, that being a mom as well, that's one of the things that you also have to learn, that you have to take care of yourself too before you can make sure your kids are good. And a lot of mothers, a lot of parents, I won't put it all, because there are some fathers who do the same. We tend to sacrifice our wants, our needs and stuff in for the sake of our children, to make sure our children are comfortable whether we are or not. Sometimes you hear the stories of mothers who won't eat so their kids can eat. They'll do without getting new clothes for years so their kids can have lessons or shoes or things like that. And I know there are some people who don't have to worry about that stuff. They're comfortable or whatever. And some people who are comfortable but still will put off that thing that they want, that trip that they want to go on, because they want to make sure that their kids have all their time or attention or space like that. So so I understand that people sometimes sacrifice themselves and the things that they want, or even the things that make them feel safe or happy, to make other people happy. And that's just what I said. Like, I was one of those people who wanted to make people happy. Sometimes at the detriment of myself. Like, I used to tell this story about, like, I would sit and plan my day. Like, I'd be at work and I'd be like, okay, when I get off work, I'm gonna go do this. And I'd have it set, okay, and I'm gonna do this for this many hours or whatever. I'm gonna go work out for a couple of hours. And that's like the time I had allotted. And if I couldn't do it that time, then I wouldn't be able to do it any other time. So it seemed like as soon as I set those plans, whether I said it in my heart, whether I said it out loud to myself, whether I wrote it down or whatever, it seemed like before the end of the day, maybe an hour or so after I set that in place, I would get a phone call. Hey, can you take me here when you get off? Can you do this when you get off? And not saying that, like, this was like, it'd be someone who I loved or, cared about, wanted them to be comfortable, didn't want to be the person to put them out because they needed me. I would say yes, and I would sacrifice the plans that I had just made for myself. So that was me letting go of my self-care. And it's not a hard thing to sometimes say no if it's going to be something that's good for you now. And so now, even though I feel good that I'm able to help this person and get them out of an uncomfortable situation, there's still a part of me that's a little upset, because now I can't do that thing that I wanted to do for myself. And then I kind of justify it saying, it wasn't something, that I needed to do, but it was something that I wanted to do. It was something that would have made me happy, something that would have made me feel good for that day. But I told myself no in order to tell that person yes. So you have these examples, and y'all, I did my stuff all out of order. I had it numbered, but I still did it out of order because, hey, I'm new to this and I'm trying to get this together. So my last point was, I'd already stated this, like mothers who overlook their own happiness or health for the children. And then you have another form of it is children hiding who they are from their whole family because they don't want to be judged. People hiding themselves from the whole family. I'm one of those people. because they don't want to be judged. And the most popular one is staying in bad relationships or jobs, um, because you may feel like you put so much time and effort into that thing. Um, but like I said, two things can absolutely be true. So you can be in a place where you're jeopardizing your love of self to make others happy. And it can be a case of, now that person leaves you, or you're hurting, or even you're just uncomfortable because you can't tell a friend or your child no. You don't want to do that thing, or you can't do that thing, or figure out a different way, or call somebody else to do it. I always had this guilt that when it came to things like that, like that person did this for me, or they're there for me, or or they'll be left to have to walk or spend extra money. Like, I did not want them to be uncomfortable, even though I was uncomfortable. So I get it. I get that whole, and then so when you get your heart broken, or you lose that friend, and you're hurt by it, or that child starts to treat you different, you're hurt by it, and people always want to tell you, you have to love yourself first. Well, what if you did absolutely, or you do absolutely love yourself, but you also desire to love someone else? Because I'm at this place now where I love myself. I love everything about me, my flaws, my quirks, my good things. I see the brightness and the beauty in everything that I do. Me and myself have conversations all the time about how silly I can be, about my overthinking and all that stuff. And at the same time, I still want to make that person, my person, happy. Sometimes it takes negotiation. It's not always I got to give up everything that I love or everything that I am. And lately, I've been in a place where I'm able to be who I am and express myself. But when you do find yourself in spaces and places where someone you love, you're giving up that you're losing yourself in that person, take the time to step back. It's okay to love yourself and absolutely love someone else and desire the love of someone else as well. It's okay to negotiate, compromise, as long as you're not the only one doing it. So yeah, so this thing is about two things being in so many things on the internet and in social media. They want you to believe that there has to be just these hard black and white areas, but you may have these black and white areas, but those two things can be true. Yes, if you must love yourself first so that you can be good for someone else. And it's okay to be heartbroken when that thing or that person you love didn't pan out. It doesn't mean that you didn't love yourself if you still love them or still want to try to work it out. If you see a reasonable way to work it out, to be safe, to still love yourself, sometimes you have to also get to a place where it doesn't really matter to you anymore whether you want to be with them for the rest of your life and that works out for you, or whether something happens and you can walk away from it and just be okay if that's not your person. So we get self-love, but it shouldn't, when you get your heart broken and you're expressing that heartbreak, it shouldn't always be met with, well, you have to love yourself, because who's to say you didn't love yourself first? And I get it. I get the sentiment. Don't come in here trying to fight with me, because I get it. But yeah, so you can absolutely love yourself and still desire that love, still be heartbroken from a heartbreak from someone leaving, a friend leaving you, and a thing, losing a job, whatever. It doesn't mean that because you're hurt by that thing that you didn't love yourself. Doesn't mean because maybe, you know, you're thinking about figuring out how to stay. I know you can't. If you lose a job, you can't figure out how to get that particular job back. But you know, say things are, or somebody did something to hurt your feelings. If it wasn't an absolute disrespect, like they cut you down to the lowest of lows, and you still want to figure out how you can be with that person or be with someone else. Because sometimes when they give you that self-love, it's like, love yourself, and you know, then you become, I love myself and I know my worth, and so now I'm not going to try to I'm not going to try to be with anybody. So you know, love yourself. And if you still desire to love someone else, to give them that love, you just pay attention to what's being given to you. Pay attention to the signs around you. Pay attention to how you feel when things are being said to you, when questions are being asked of you, things are being asked of you. Pay attention to how you feel about that. Again, two things can absolutely be true. You can love yourself, and you can have a desire to want to love someone else. And I'm not saying that it's always like, again, this is my opinion. These are my thoughts. This is just what I think about it. I know that there are other things that can be true, that can be expressed, that can be moved out. It's all fluid things, fluid thoughts. But I like to know, you know, two or more things can all be true at one time. Because someone is heartbroken about losing a thing, losing a love, losing a job, does not mean that they don't or didn't love themselves. So that's all I got. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope you get something from it. Leave me some comments. Call me, inbox me, whatever. Check me out on TikTok under Sunny the Goddess. I'm also on Facebook. Y'all know me, Rashonda Bibbs. I'm on Instagram as the Tatted Empress and Mommy. I think there's underscores, like tatted underscore Empress underscore N underscore Mommy. And I think, but I'll put it in the bio. I'll put this so you can see where to find me on everything. Let me tell you before you get in there, it's a lot of variety. I do a lot of different things. But yeah, that's all I got. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope it made sense, because it be making sense in my head. Me and all the people in my head, we be having discussions and it makes sense to us. So I hope it makes sense to y'all, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see y'all next time.